And I'll tell you what discriminant is all about and why it is very, very important in mathematics. So, the concept of discriminant. If you consider the general form of the algebraic formula, the discriminant is derived from minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, this is the general form, okay? Now, the discriminant in this general form is nothing but b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And, okay, b squared minus 4ac actually over 2a is not there, okay? Now, what is this discriminant talking about? This discriminant is actually telling us the nature of the roots of the quadratic equation. That is just it. It tells us the nature of the roots of the quadratic equation. So we can rephrase this algebraic formula to be x equals minus, okay, let me bring it out. X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of d all over 2a. Since we said the discriminant d is equal to b squared minus 4ac. Now, what do we mean by telling us how the nature looks like? Take note that if the discriminant d is less than 0, it then shows us that we have no real roots. No real roots. That is, the root of the quadratic equation is nothing but a complex root. And what are complex roots? Complex roots are the square root of a negative number. Is that okay? So once you check and the discriminant is less than 0, you know that there's no way to, we can't get an actual root. Real roots are roots of real numbers. Okay? So real roots like square root of 36, square root of 49, square root of 9, and so on and so forth. Okay? So if we have the discriminant to be less than 0, then we have that there is no real root. And how do we get the discriminant? D is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So before even solving any quadratic equation, the first thing to do is to check if that quadratic equation is solvable or not. And how do we do that? Just bring out the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of x, and the constant term, and insert them into the equation or the formula for the discriminant, which is this over here. So check if it will give you a value less than 0. If it gives a value less than 0, then don't bother yourself. There is no real answer for that. You can just leave it as in a complex form. And complex numbers will be discussed in our subsequent classes. Okay, what if the discriminant d, this is the first case, that if d is less than 0, then there is no real root. Now, what if the discriminant d is equal to 0? If discriminant d is equal to 0, then we have that there is just one root for that particular quadratic equation, such that if you solve it, you still have x equal to, probably x equal to 2, x will also be equal to 2. You know, we need two different roots, or two roots of the quadratic equation. So if we check and discriminant is equal to 0, that means we have the same root, just one root for both roots. Do you understand? Alright, so if that is the case, then d equals 0 shows us that we have just a single root. But if we check and the discriminant d is greater than 0, this then shows that we have two real roots or two distinct roots, just like we saw in the first case or in the cases we discussed earlier. So if you check, let's go over to the questions we solved earlier. Okay, these. We have x equals this particular one. This is the one I'm talking about. X equals -2 and x equals 1/3. If you insert the values of A, B, and C into the discriminant formula over here, into this discriminant formula, D equals B squared minus 4AC, you realize that D will be equal to a value greater than 0. So before solving at all, we already know the nature of what our answer is going to look like. Just like a mother, a pregnant woman, she goes for scan, for X-ray, X-ray to show or to know how the baby is going to look like. Probably, is he a baby boy or a baby girl? So that I'll start preparing my cells for the coming of the child. Do you understand? So that is the same thing we are doing here. We want to know how our answer is going to look like. So we check for the discriminant first before even delving into the question. This will enable you to know how to maneuver your way very, very fast than if you don't know what to do at all. Is that okay? So this is actually the reason why the concept of discriminant is very, very important in mathematics. And with this, we are very, very happy, or I'm very, very happy to announce to you that we have come to the end of today's class. So if you have questions, if you have any question whatsoever, come on, drop them on the platform as I attend to them as soon as I see them. So do have a wonderful evening ahead. Okay, prepare actually for the next class, which is physics, when your physics tutor is actually ready for you to dish out what she knows on the concept of the Newton's law of motion. So as soon as you finish this class, prepare yourself for the physics class. Do have a nice time with your physics tutor. Bye.